an amazing but difficult day, I think, for a lot of people across the state of Arkansas. As we stand here and look back on the destruction of last year's tornado that was devastating for our state. But I'm so proud of the progress that we have been able to make since that Friday a year ago. I'd like to thank Mayor Frank Scott, Judge Barry Hyde, Director A.J. Gary, Senator Clark Tucker, Representative Jamie Scott, Keith Brooks, and Les Warren, and all of the other local leaders that are here joining us today that have helped make this progress so monumental. And I want to thank Billy Roenbeck, who has done a tremendous job bringing Pulaski County title back from what we saw just a year ago. Few of the buildings damaged in last year's storm were as iconic as yours, and few groups have recovered as quickly. We want to thank you for your commitment to Central Arkansas and the entire Little Rock community. I don't think it's lost on anyone that the 1-year anniversary of last year's tornadoes falls on Easter Sunday. The joy of Easter seems at odds with the tragedy of that day. But beneath the surface, we're also here to mark a similar triumph, one of rebuilding, rebirth, and resurrection. That's not to discount the pain that was caused by the storm. I met with families who lost literally everything: homes, cars, belongings. One of my staffers lost his house and learned about it while we were watching a live TV reporter broadcast on the local news. Even more difficult were the lives that were lost that day. They will never be able to recover. And I'm sure all of us remember those frantic first minutes and hours after the storm. In my office, we were making calls to emergency managers and our own families while watching local weather reports, seeing the storm move across our state and ultimately hit and win as well. Amid the chaos, I held close to a saying I'd learned from my dad, who handled similar disasters when he was governor: people first and the paperwork later. In all of my conversations, from local law enforcement all the way to the President of the United States, that was my guiding message. And I believe that made a critical difference in getting assistance quickly to families and businesses in need. Luckily, we live in Arkansas, so government was hardly the only one willing to lend a hand. Assistance poured into Little Rock from around the state in the form of food, clothing, shelter, and money. Everyone with a moment to spare was outside the next day helping pick up debris. I have never been more proud to call myself an Arkansan. The day after the storm, I joined Mayor Scott and many of the other leaders that are here today to survey damage in Central Arkansas. And our first stop was Little Rock Fire Station number 9 on Shackelford. Even as the storm ravaged their station, these firefighters worked through the day and night to make sure other Arkansans were safe. They were just some of the many heroic first responders who saved lives that day, often ignoring their own personal losses to do so. The rest of the day was a bit of a blur. Businesses here on Cantrell, homeowners in North Little Rock and Sherwood, church leaders in Jacksonville, interspersed with calls to leaders across the state and the country. But amid it all, Arkansans put their arms around each other, lifted each other up, and do what Arkansans do in the time of crisis. Recovery is never easy, and the scars still haven't fully healed. You can see the challenges in the homes that are still being rebuilt, the trees that are still bare, and the lives that have not yet been put back together. But in the Christian faith, Good Friday is the darkest day of the year, reminding us of the sin that we have as imperfect humans. But it's good because we know that a brighter day will come, thanks to the everlasting love and sacrifice Jesus Christ made for us. Today may be Good Friday, but Easter Sunday is coming, and along with it, resurrection. The cost is great, but so is the reward. I'd like to express my deepest appreciation to the first responders and the local leadership who have been so critical to our rebuilding efforts. And I'd like to offer my deepest condolences to the tornado victims who are still recovering and who will never recover all that was lost. But above it all, I'd like to reaffirm our commitment to the people of Arkansas. We stand with you, we support you, and we will not stop supporting you until Little Rock and all of the other Arkansas communities are rebuilt. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your incredible work. And thank you for making all of us proud to be Arkansans. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Governor Sanders. I think one thing that's poignant to share today, in times of tragedy, in times of turmoil, and in times of tension, it is important that we show unity. And I can tell you, minutes and seconds after the tornado hit, Governor Sanders and I were on the phone, focused on the people of Little Rock and the people of Arkansas, because that's what matters. That's how we unite, that's how we grow, and that's how we transform as a city and as a state. But today, as we think through those seconds that we'll never forget for a lifetime, whether the tornado hit the Walnut Valley area, Colony West, Kingwood, and many other areas of West Little Rock, we here in the city, as I have with me, members of the city board, city director Kathy Peck, which actually happened in her particular ward, Director Dean Capiris, and Director Vice Mayor Kathy Webb, and many members, we all stand united as a city to focus on what we continue to do to show our residents that they won't be forgotten, that we'll continue to focus on them to bring back a better solution. Because we are stronger and better today because of the things that have happened. While we did not want it to happen, it showed that we will be united together and show our true unity and our resilience together. And as we move forward on one accord, as the governor shared, we are in this season, whether you are a Christian and it's Holy Week, whether you are a Muslim and it's Ramadan, whether you're Jewish and you're focused on the Passover, and whether you're a Hindu and you're focused on Holi, the Festival of Colors. We have entered a time in our faith to focus on good versus evil and how we all triumphant together. But as Ezekiel said, as he looked into the mountains of Israel and things were a tumultuous time, we have an opportunity to be better than our beginnings, and that's exactly what we will do together. Thank you so much.
Well, the tornado hit, and the next day was a day a lot like today. It was beautiful outside. Your primary focus when something like this happens to the place where you spend most of your waking hours is those that you love, that you work with, their health and welfare, the others in the building and in our community. That was amazing, as much devastation as we had as a community, that we didn't have more injuries and deaths. It was amazing. Part of it was timing, part of it was preparedness, part of it was luck. Once I knew that everybody was okay in the building, then your attention turns to business continuity. How do we keep operating? How do we keep serving the people that have entrusted us? How do you take care of the rest of the tenants in the building? We had a disaster preparedness program ready. It's one of those things that you kind of, it's a hassle because you think you're never going to use it. And then when the time comes and you have a devastating hit like you did, and you actually put it into play, and it underscores that it actually worked. And I have I'm very thankful to my crew and to Mainstream Technologies, who provides our support and is a local business here, that they prepared us correctly. And I was very proud that we didn't miss a single transaction for our customers that Monday we reopened. And then rebuilding. The next day, that Saturday, I got up here before the sun was rising, and I thought, boy, here we go. And a longtime customer and friend was walking across the parking lot with his work gloves, and my initial reaction was, I got this. But then I realized he'd been waiting for me to get here, and it was bigger than me. The community wanted to be a part of the rebuild, and it was at that moment that I realized it. And it was at that moment that I realized, let them do it. And as hard as we worked that day, I took a moment around lunchtime. People were bringing us food and bringing us water, and I just couldn't help but smile and reflect on the positivity. What the community meant to me. I was born and raised here, but I'd never had that deep feeling like that. And so I was super proud of not only my coworkers and their spouses and friends that showed up to help, but I was really proud of this community and how it responded. Now, we're not done yet. I mean, I'm really thrilled that this building is finished. We're very appreciative of the space we're in, but it's a little tight. One of us is working in the vault of a former bank branch, and I'm sharing a closet with my longtime assistant. I'm sure she's ready to get rid of me. But as proud as I am of this building being finished, there's still recovery going on. And as I turn to my left, I can still see progress in the works with many of our community members still recovering. But it's been a year of recovery, and it's been a year of a lot of thanks for me. So with that, and thank you all for being here today, and in particular Governor Sanders and Mayor Scott for holding your press conference here. It's pretty neat for us to start our move in today as the furniture comes in. So I wanted to tell you all thank you for being here, thank you for your support, and thank you for being part of the community.